live. You see they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good and Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody. Hey, family, what's good with you? Happy Friday. Welcomes to another edition of the Black Love Experience. Hey, y'all tell somebody I'm on the air, okay? I got some stuff, some guests coming on, and it'll be a good show. It's Christmas time, I know. Y'all think I should be talking about Rudolph and them, but we got too much stuff going on in the world. So y'all enjoy Rudolph and all them, and the Christmas holiday. I'll be with y'all on Christmas Day on the spoken word. I'll be here in the studio Christmas morning. So tune in for that. I got some jazz playing in the background. Can't play it on Facebook. They'll cut my stream off. So you can always go to tune in. You can go to WTCCFM.org. You can go to iHeartRadio and catch everything. I get some music up that y'all can listen to in a minute. Just certain sounds, Facebook be tripping. So, last time I played Coltrane live, my whole stream went down with 200 people on it. So it was crazy. So tell a friend, tell somebody Bishop is on the air right now, okay? All right. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I know some of y'all are sleeping. You already got vacation time and all that stuff. Get ready for the holidays. It's all good. Hope you're enjoying it. All right, Bishop. All right, bro. Take care. Yep. All right, here we go. Let me bring y'all in on this. The being in the road would be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Get you a little higher, get you a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper. There we go. Go a little further. Come on. Get you a little higher. Come on, yeah. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Come on, don't stop. All right, come on, y'all now. Rep your city, rep your town. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Your life will never change until you get disgusted with where you are. And let me do my church roll call. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live for today. For it is your daily routine that determines your success or failure in life. Let me share this stream. Up to this point, that will determine the rest of your life. So break the cycle of doing enough. Good morning. Good morning. Come on. I don't know if I should share it with a group because, last time I was sharing with a group, they was tripping. Deacon Lovejoy, what's happening? Don't stop. So you got to break the routine of trying to beat the system. Manipulators will always try to bypass the process for the quick progress. There are no shortcuts to success. There are no elevators to the top. You got to take it one step at a time. You got to break the routine of allowing others to get into your head and control who you are and where you're going. You see, when you're about the positive, you're going to always have haters. But don't let your haters push you down. All right, I got 248 in my Facebook church, 119 in my Instagram church. Let me see what I got in my YouTube church. So you got to keep pushing yourself to the next level. Yeah, there you go. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Got 115 in my YouTube church. All right, let's get it, y'all. Rep your city, rep your town. You'll never discover your greatness without 413-736-2781. More about who you are and what you expect for yourself. And greatness will always attract greatness.
Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. You just a step away. You just a step away.
90.7 WTCC, WTCC HD1. Welcome to another edition of the Black Love Experience. Bishop Talbert Swan II here with you on another Friday, TGIF, okay? It's the Friday before Christmas. And guess what? I'm going to be with y'all on Christmas on Monday morning on the spoken word. So I'm putting in Christmas duty, okay? 413-736-2781. I want to thank Elder Rick Robb for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour. You can hear Elder Rick Robb and Deacon Ernie Johnson every Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you that good gospel music, good inspiration, way to end your work week. Coming up at 10, it's mid-morning jazz. Great black music. Listen, today I'm talking about, a couple things. Expect to have some guests in with me. Shortly, I'm going to bring Francina Brown up, who has been doing some work around anti-gun violence and working with families that have lost their loved ones due to gun violence for a long time. And I want to talk about that. And then I believe I'm going to have another guest coming up at about 9:40. There was an incident at the Springfield City Council. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this show is stop exploiting Black death and Black pain and Black trauma, okay? Too many people are trying to get notoriety off of Black death, trying to use it as a platform to get attention. And it's disrespectful to the families, to the city, to the people in general to exploit. I don't know of a Black family that has not been touched by certain ills of society. And gun violence is one of those. Most Black families I know of have been touched in some way. So when you have people out here on the streets claiming that they speak for everybody, every family that has been affected by gun violence, please understand that they don't. Please understand that they don't. And then they start pointing the fingers at people and blaming individual people because of their positions in society, whether it's the preachers or the president of the NAACP or the mayor or a city councilor or a state rep. They start blaming them for the gun violence that's taken place, without even understanding that many of them have been affected. I lost a cousin this year, shot dead over a parking space. I preached his funeral this year. And so it's insulting when someone stands up and starts claiming that they are the ones who speak for the people affected by gun violence, the families affected by gun violence. No, you don't. Stay with us, all right? We're going to come up very shortly with our guest and our topic. Tell a friend, tell somebody. Bishop is on the air. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you are chiming in from. Definitely want to know what part of the nation and the world you're chiming in from. Stay with us. Don't y'all go nowhere. We'll be right back.
You say you sold out because Black women are loud and crass. What? And your precious white woman is the epitome of class? Are you so blind that you cannot see? That pale girl child ain't got nothing on me. For hundreds of years we have stood by your side, accepted your flaws and allowed you your pride, bore your children and cleaned up your mess, satisfied your lust and always settled for less. We have stayed in the background and allowed you to lead, trusting in your strength and ability to succeed, never getting the praise and credit we deserve, but having the courage, the will, and the nerve, for being the backbone that has kept it together for you and our children in all kinds of weather. And now suddenly you say we're not good enough for you. We forced you to sell out because of the things we did. Well, where was that white woman when that white man you hate was cracking the whip? In the boardroom, the warehouse, and on the slave ship. She stood by his side and didn't say a word, waiting for her own chance to rule and be heard. And now it's her you turn to and treat like a queen? And me and my sisters you choose to demean? Well, hold up, wait a minute, and stop the damn bus. Because there are a few things I need to remind you about us. Listen up. A more beautiful creature God never made than an African woman, no matter her shade. High, yellow, red bone, or cocoa brown, we are more than worthy of wearing a crown. Ebony, mocha, or black as the night.
All right, rep your city, rep your town, y'all.
In your plight. We are passionate, spiritual,
I see Maryland.
loving and kind.
I don't know what part of Maryland.
Then the one that beats inside.
Good morning, Maryland.
The hardest working, loving, giving woman you've ever seen. But we give and forgive until there's little left.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
To avoid your theft. The theft of our hearts and our trust, the very nature of our soul. By our
Houston,
who are just
Greenville, South Carolina.
Wonder why some of us act as we do.
Chicago in the building.
Because the answer is you. It's not enough that the white man has always tried to keep us down.
All right, tell me if y'all can hear me on Facebook. Because somebody said no audio. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. If you can hear me on Facebook, tell me I can hear you.
Raising the children that black men leave behind and dealing with the racism of the daily corporate grind. Damn, it's no wonder some of us are loud hell.
If y'all can hear me on YouTube, tell me you can hear me. If y'all can hear me on Instagram, tell me you can hear me.
Where are the brothers who understand a black woman's work? Right here, who will protect and stand by us, for we are the salt of this earth.
Baltimore City.
We birthed you, raised
you. Good morning, good morning.
You with love. It was we who taught you to love.
All right, y'all can hear me. I see Facebook checking in. Y'all can hear me, YouTube, let me know. Holyoke, what's happening? Instagram, loud and clear. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
And one final word for the sellout to claim to be.
Let's get it.
When you turn your back on us, you disrespect your mothers. Did you hear that?
413 to the sellout. 736 2781 413 736 2781 is the number here. Good morning to everybody in the Pioneer Valley, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, wherever you can hear us from with our 4,000 watts. Good morning to you. Everybody from all points, everywhere else that are chiming into the program. I see folks coming in. Houston is always deep in the building. Chicago, Greenville, South Carolina, California love is up in the building. Kansas City, Missouri is in the building. Baltimore City, Maryland is up in the building. Holyoke is in the building. The 413 is in the building. Anybody else want to rep your city, rep your town? Let me know where you're chiming. Let me see who we got on the gram. We got Toronto, Canada in the building. We got Los Angeles. We got New York City in the building. We got the ATL in the building. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is up in the building. Pittsburgh is in the building. That's what I'm talking about. Home of my Steelers is all up in here. Denver, Colorado is in the building. Quebec, Canada is in the building. Johannesburg, South Africa is in the building. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Inglewood. All right. I see you, Jay Judah, Inglewood, California. Representing up in here. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody. Everybody, just call your own name in case I miss you. I might miss you here in the comments somewhere. But good morning to every one of you. City Councilor LeVar Click Bruce is in the building. Yeah, we are in here. Good morning. Listen, before I bring my guests on in the next 3 minutes, let me try to set the stage here. Um, City of Springfield, where I'm broadcasting from, for those who aren't in the 413, is really a microcosm of cities and towns all over the nation that are suffering from the scourge of gun violence, particularly in neighborhoods that are impacted by other social and economic inequities that are traced, quite frankly, to racism, segregation, and discriminatory policies that have been in place in what Maya Angelou called these yet to be United States of America for a long, long time. Um, so we got redlining, exclusionary zoning, mass incarceration, all of those things have been affecting folks as well for a long time. Um, Gun violence is a multifaceted challenge, and it demands a holistic uh, approach. There is no one solution. So when you hear people, get up talking about what's the solution, like there's a one solution to gun violence, like one particular individual, one entity is going to solve the scourge of gun violence. It's never been done. And here's the thing. Here's my question for those who keep barking and trying to point the finger at other people and blame them for gun violence. If y'all had the solutions, why aren't you implementing them? Arsenio Hall used to say things that make you go, Seriously though, if y'all got the solution, why aren't you implementing? You don't need the mayor to implement them, do you? Why aren't you out there solving it? Yeah. Because it's easy to point the finger at other people and tell them they don't have the answers. But it's obvious because it hasn't been solved that you ain't got the answers either. Yeah. So, like I said, it demands a holistic set of solutions because it's a cycle. It's a cycle. There's got to be limits to access to firearms. And then we've got to address underlying social and economic inequities that fuel gun violence. Poverty fuels violence. We've got to adequately fund community-based violence intervention and prevention efforts, like one of the sisters who I'm getting ready to pull into the program. We've got to have programs that are grounded in evidence-based solutions. We've got to build authentic relationships with people that are impacted. We've got to support local organizations that address the social and economic inequalities that are at the root of gun violence. Um, there are a number of things that we've got to do that will foster a reduction. And here's the thing. I want to tell you this. When people start pointing their fingers at the agency heads and the pastors of the churches and stuff, what they can't calculate, they can count the number of homicides. There's 31 homicides in Springfield. I submit to you this, that there could have been more if it wasn't for those community-based organizations, those churches, those organizations that have positively impacted the lives of our young people and steered them away from a life of crime and violence. There could be a whole lot more young people on the streets shooting people if they had not been impacted by these programs. So instead of 31 murders, there might be 60 murders. So when you try to say that those organizations aren't doing anything, you don't know what you're talking about, because they have steered many a person away from a life of crime and violence. Let me bring Francine Brown into the program. Hey there.
Hey, good morning, Bishop.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Now,
good.
now is Rhonda
Blessed.
coming on with you?
I think Rhonda's supposed to be coming on, but I also
Okay,
have
I see her.
yeah.
Okay, let me bring her up as well. Bring her up as well. There we go. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you feel?
Good, and you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, ladies, tell me about the work that you're doing out there. And I know, Francine, you were impacted in a profound way by gun violence years ago. I think it was somewhere around 2006 or 7, somewhere in that arena.
Yes.
And you've been out here beating the drum against gun violence and working with families. And you've got a program now I want you to tell folks about, because when people act like they're the only game in town, I think it's important that we highlight the people who have been in the trenches for nearly 20 years or more doing this work. So why don't you introduce yourself? We'll start with you, Rhonda, and then Francine. Introduce yourselves. Tell us what you're working with, and then we'll continue the conversation. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Rhonda Gilbert. I am the program manager for Families Against Violence. I've been working alongside Francina for over a year now, and we are doing what we can to make our fingerprint here in the community and helping to, eradicate violence in Springfield.
All right, thank you, Francine. Tell us about give us a faceted answer. Tell us about the work that you're doing, Families Against Violence, and tell us about your own personal experience.
Okay, my name is Francina Brown. I am the executive director of Families Against Violence, and I've been in this organization ever since 2006, when my first son Tyrell Narcissus was murdered, and also alongside with Miss Sheila Shepherd, which she was not able to come on the show today. And Miss Shepherd was my angel when I lost my son in 2006, and I've been going on ever since then. I came on alongside with a WAIT program where they helped me, guide me through this process of grieving the loss of my son, my first son, in 2006.
Yeah. And tell us about the birthing of the work that you're doing, because you all were doing this work years and years ago,
Yes.
without any funding, without any resources, without any community support, but you were dedicated to help those families that had experienced what you experienced.
Yes. In 2006, I decided to I was with the WAIT. We did a program of working with families who lost loved ones through all type of violence, and then I merged away and started doing supporting families that were still getting murdered. So when I get the phone call from the hospital stating that someone got murdered, or get a phone call from a family that their loved one has got murdered, I will go down to the hospital and advocate for that family and support them and lead and guide them. I will go to help them with their funerals. I guide them through everything, making sure that they got all the resources and all the information for their funeral service. I've then also, we didn't have any funding. I didn't have any money. A lot of the work that I was doing was coming out of my own pocket, where I was paying for people's funeral out of my own pocket. It was where to the point that I almost was homeless, where to the point that I was paying for people's funerals. So I didn't have no resources. I didn't have no funding. No one gave me any money. No one gave any resources except for the WAIT that was there. But once I broke away, I started doing this on my own. And throughout the year, through 2006, I was doing that. And up until I moved away, because it became overwhelming for me. So I ended up moving to Boston. And when I moved to Boston, I ended up right back into helping to support another family, which was Ursula Ward. Well, Olden Lloyd, her son Olden Lloyd, was killed by unfortunately, Aaron Hernandez. So I also supported her and advocated for her and her situation. And then end up coming back to Springfield and still doing the same thing. It's like God was drawing me to do this kind of work. And I was like, God, why me? But God said, why not you? Because I'm picking you to do the work, and he felt that I was the strong one to do it. So other than that, I've just been an ongoing thing, and still to today, I'm still advocating for families. I'm helping them. I'm helping them with their funerals. And now, just fortunately, we just got from funding from MOVA, which we also there to support families, and also we did get some from the city. So it's through, because all these years that I've been doing this, it's because of out of my own pocket. So no, it's not just funding and any resource. I found no solutions because I was advocating for families in court. I was advocating for youth in court. I was going to court with youth, trying to help them to get out of the system or not be into the system. So we was trying to find jobs for them. And also I referred some people to you, also to Bishop, to help find, resolutions and services for these youth. So we've been out here for a long time helping youth, trying to get them out of court, going to the schools and making sure, seeing them on the side of the schools, doing a little thing on say, trying to get them back into school. So we've been out here. Desi Jackson is also is been a part of us, for all of us that advocate for these youth out here in the community. So it's a long process, and it's still going on. We're still advocating for these youth and families. We have support. We have a great counselor, which is unfortunately your wife, First Lady Swans, which she's an awesome grief counselor, where we have counseling every 2 weeks. Not only just there for the family, but we need it as well. So she's making sure that we having that counseling and we having that time for ourselves, so that we won't have to be overwhelmed with all the all the other things that we're doing out here in the community. So it's a long process, and we're still doing it. So thank you.
Wow. And that doesn't even do justice to what you all are doing and the impact that you are having on families. But just for people to understand the depth of the work and how you are reaching into these families, advocating for them, providing resources for them, providing grief counseling for them. And I just think it's important that people understand that there are people out here and who have been out here for a long time, advocating against gun violence, and more importantly, assisting and helping these families. What has been some of the testimonies of the families that have come across your way, that you all have helped and been able to impact?
The testimonies that are that a lot of families, they couldn't have be out here in the society because they were still in jail and it's still going through what they're going through. So they all come in and there's like, if it wasn't for this program, we would still be in our shell, people that didn't want to be in society. And there's a lot of them where we helping them with the oh my God, it's just so much stuff that we do, but they all they want to come to, look forward to coming to these grief meetings and these support meetings, and we always doing something for them. We make sure that they love, we make sure that they're heard, we make sure that anytime that they need support, that we have a room where they can come in and they can talk and they can share. So there's a lot of different scenarios. There's a lot of different testimonies that a lot of people can, even what domestic violence, a lot of people are coming in sharing with their stories. So a lot of stories are being shared that it's just phenomenal. But sorry to say that we all have to go through this, and we shouldn't have to go through this, and we shouldn't have to, but unfortunately that we're going through this. And it's just remarkable what God is doing in this organization.
Tell people where they can find you, your hours, how they can connect with you, in case they have been impacted or want to refer someone to you all.
We are at 32 Hampden Street, downtown Springfield, on the 4th floor. We are across the street from Chicago's building. Those are downtown. So we are down there. We're on the 4th floor. We have support meetings bi-weekly. And then we have a game night where that, everything is not always about on a sad week. So we do have game night, like bingo, and a lot of people love to come out and play bingo. So, and we are there from basically between 9 until 5, but I'm always there. Even after hours, I do have after hours. And so if anyone needs to contact me or call me, it doesn't matter what time of the night, because my phone line is always open. So if anyone needs to talk, or they need to express themselves, or they want to just get it out, my line is always open at 413-459-3857.
All right. I know my wife is excited when she has her sessions and talk about how impactful the sessions are on the families and the people that they're working with. And so I want to thank you for the work that you are doing and have been doing for a long time, for the personal sacrifices that you have made to help families. Oftentimes people are impacted by certain things, and it's okay, that they kind of go on their way, but it impacted you in such a profound way that you literally dedicated your life to assisting people who have experienced what you have experienced. And so I want to thank you for the great work that you're doing. What would be the word that you would say to those out there impacted by gun violence, or just to the city in general, in terms of whether or not folks are actually passionate about helping to solve this scourge?
I would say, stay focused, reach out to different organizations, different programs. The work is a lot of work that needs to be done. And one person or one thing cannot solve the gun violence of the community. So if we can just all come together as a community, as leaders, as just come together so that we can make a difference. We may not solve every problem. We may not solve, where everyone may not come together. But my thing is, if we can all come together and just show some love and just show the community that, if they see that we are coming together, then they'll come together. But as long as we can't come together, then the community, then these kids and everyone that sees us, they're not going to come together. And I don't know if I remind you, Bishop, that I did have a second son that was murdered. So I did, in 2022, my second son was also murdered. So I had two sons, one in 2006 and the other one's 2022. So just continue to pray, for families out here that are being affected by gun violence, so we can all to come together and stand together, because it's a lot of work to be done. It's a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And before you go, my wife is coaching me in this interview. Tell us about the victims advocacy.
The victim advocacy is the victims funding, where families that is have been victimized in such a different various of victim of violence. And what they do is the city will pay $8,000 for a funeral. So what we do is we do guide them, and that way, if there type of violence, even for domestic, even for a suicide, suicide, homicide, they do help, and we do and also do that. We also we help families too, so that the grant that they receive, if they don't cover some of the big expenses, we would definitely cover, what we can on the rest of the expenses. And also I have the other resources that do help with other organizations where they will help people apply, so they will help pay for different other things. I do have some connections that families that does some resources on if they are affected by the gun violence. We do have that information.
All right. Once again, I want to appreciate you. We go way back to your days at Spring of Hope.
Yes.
And
yes.
So I've watched the trauma that you and your family have been through. And once again, commend you on your strength and on your courage, and our continued prayers are with you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right. God bless. Thank you for coming on today, and have a Merry Christmas.
God, you too. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well, sir. All
right. That was Francina Brown, and telling you about Families Against Violence and the work that they have been doing in the community for a long time. So if you need to, definitely make the connection with them. If you know families that need the support and the resources, etc., definitely make the connection with good people who are doing great work in our community. Oftentimes people are always saying, ain't nobody doing something, which is a very irresponsible statement, without knowing there are a lot of people who are working behind the scenes in a quiet, impactful way. Just because people aren't tooting their own horns and just because you don't see them in the media and here and there doesn't mean they're not out here working. So don't believe the hype when you hear people talk about how they're the onlyest ones who are saying something. They're the only ones that's doing something. They're the only ones, that are doing whatever. They ain't the only one. They ain't the only one. Let me bring Miss Taylor on. She kind of missed Francine, but she might want to tell us something. Hey, sis.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. One thing I do. Yes. Can I say something? This is really important. I had spoken with Fran earlier, and what I wanted to say is that when things are in place where there is no confusion, everything falls into place like dominoes. I didn't have to lift a finger to do anything. Everything seemed to come right to me, and I praise God for that. I didn't lift a finger. Everything was already working, and it just fell right into place. Now, those that don't know me, my name is Earlene Victoria Taylor, and I lived here in Springfield the majority of my life. I lived in New York City, but I came up here when I was younger. Miss Dorothy Boyd, she was here, and she was my aunt. I married my husband, Orlando Taylor, and in the midst of that, we had 3 children. I've been overseas. I don't know why we had to come back here, but we back here. I had a son, Orlando Taylor, who was murdered in 1998 by gunfire. Fast forward, his son was born that May of 1998. His name was Orlando Taylor Jr., and he was murdered by a Springfield policeman in front of me. That no video can show me what I already saw. Before I can get my head above water, my son that was left here, Rashad Lamar Taylor, was murdered right across the street in someone's driveway. So I am very in tune to what people right now are going through. We as a community, as Miss Fran and other people that are out here, we all know what it is, whether it happened yesterday or 20 years ago. We are veterans and we can help. Instead of being a divideness, there needs to be a help. I remember telling your wife one day, I said that I had to be still. Be still just means that you don't have a lot of chatter in your ears. When you be still, things come into place. Things are more focused. You understand things a lot more. And you go and you do things when it's time for you to do it. I am not one who jumps through hoops. I do what I want to do when it's the time to do it. And so right now, I thank you for your forum because I wasn't ready to do it at the time when other people may have wanted me to. But I am a victim. I'm not, well, I won't even say use it like that. The victims are the ones that are not here. And as Fran had said, I don't know if she said it while I wasn't here to listen, that this needs to go to the jailhouses. We need to make laws where it's that people who are convicted for certain crimes are not able to just turn around and walk right out the door because it's almost like a slap in the face for those people that are left here. I myself have been fortunate in a way to have some people locked up. Somebody got out, but then somebody just went back in, and I don't have to even think about them to 2035. I may not even be here, but my children may be here. So they don't have to worry about that individual. We still yet to go to a trial for my other son, but they did fortunately catch the culprits in that. There are a lot of people out here who still have not had a closure. And hopefully at some point they will. But for right now, we all need to kind of stick together. We need to pray and try to get laws passed or done so that certain things don't happen. We all are in this together, regardless of what anybody may think. You might be over there, I might be here, somebody might be there. But this is a fight that when I can't explain it. It's such a hurt that the only people that can understand it are the people that went through it.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
understand?
Yeah, nobody can understand it like those who experience it.
Yes.
Listen, I want to. I just said something. I said I'm awed by the strength of Black women, just in general, in terms of what they've been able to endure through the centuries and have shouldered
Yes.
so many responsibilities for our Black families. But when I see women like you, like Fran, who have experienced so much personal trauma in their lives, but they can muster up the strength to still speak and advocate and work on behalf of others. I just have to applaud your sagaciousness and your strength and your endurance. And I want to thank you for coming on today and for what you continue to do and being a beacon of light for people who are experiencing.
Yes, that's all it's about. Look at me and I can be a beam to someone else. I know it hurts. I really do. And it's lots of mornings wake up 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning and can't go to sleep. So I understand.
Yeah. Thank you, Mother, for coming on. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
bring our city councilor up, but our prayers are always continually with you. And I know you and my wife talk. You always have our support.
Don't tell everybody. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
God
Thank you.
bless. Take care.
God bless you too. Thank you.
413-736-2781 is the number here if you want to chime in on the conversation that we're having this morning. Merry Christmas to y'all. I'll be with y'all on Christmas Day. Listen, there was a meeting at the Springfield City Council, the last meeting of the year, and they did their vote, informal vote or vote in terms of the leadership of next year. And a number of people went down for the public speak out portion of that, and there was some there was some conversation, that went on at the city council meeting that I'm sure many of you have seen or have heard about. Um, but once again, I'm going to bring our city councilor at large, city councilor Tracy Whitfield, up, and I know she's done work around anti-gun violence, and she can say whatever she wants to say about the council meeting. But when people often have what Dr. Michael Eric Dyson calls aphramnesia, a Negro variety of forgetting stuff. Oftentimes when they step up on the scene, they want to pretend that the issue they're working on started with them working on it. Like nobody else in history has ever done any work on this at all. And so they make these blanket statements about what ain't nobody else doing and ain't nobody else working. And Sister Whitfield had defended the work of a very dear friend of mine, my fraternity brother. We've been friends for 40 plus years. Brother Johnny Muhammad, minister at Muhammad's Mosque. And she was just giving testament to her personal experience of knowing the work that he does. And someone was adamant about him not doing it. And here's the thing, we can easily roll off the facts about gun violence advocacy, and we can ask people where they were, because it didn't start with the murder rate that happened this year. When Taheem Goff was murdered by Springfield police, I was there advocating for his family. Certain people weren't there. When we were marching with the family of Mario Hornsby, a victim of gun violence, I know Shalon Brown, Awake, Francine Brown, many others were there, but there's others who weren't there. When they were trying to pass a stand your ground law in Massachusetts, similar to the one in Florida that they used as an excuse for George Zimmerman to take the life of Trayvon Martin, we met personally with legislators to get them to remove their names from the sponsorship list, and we defeated stand your ground legislation here in Massachusetts. When Sheldon Elliott was murdered in the barbershop, we were advocating for his family. Archbishop and I served the family at the funeral of that young man. When challenging Smith & Wesson, one of the largest gun manufacturers in the city, to invest in safety measures and in communities most affected by gun violence, we were there, others weren't. But we don't go around pointing the fingers talking about you ain't doing nothing, so-and-so ain't doing nothing. That, like Mother Taylor said, that divisiveness of always trying to castigate and malign people in the community, what does that do to move the needle one bit toward any of the shared goals that we have? City Councilor Tracy Whitfield, what's happening?
Good morning, Bishop. How are you?
Oh, I'm fair to middling. How you doing today?
I'm all right. Dealing with a little bit of a headache, but other than that, I'm here. I'm blessed. God woke me up this morning.
All right.
So blessing to be here. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely.
For those who don't know me, my name is Tracy Whitfield, City Councilor at Large for the whole city. And we did have a meeting on Monday about a variety of things, and gun violence advocates came to the podium and they were talking, and I just want to thank everyone who came out to show support. I want to thank everyone who has the courage to get up and speak on any issue that they're passionate about, because we do need to hear it. I want to give my condolences to all the families that are grieving because of the senseless gun violence that is happening in the community, because it has to stop. And I know you made a comment earlier that it could have been more. Bishop Swan, it also could have been less. One gun violence victim is too many, and we have to come up with an approach, a wraparound approach that will help mitigate the loss of life that's happening. One of the things that is needed is government support on most of the programs that I investigated. Government support is needed, and we should have it. There's millions of dollars that go to other things in the community that I think can wait, like store I'm not going to get into the restaurant things and all that and try to stick to the topic here. So what I wanted to say is that during the meeting, there were some name calling and things like that. And, you know, without saying names and all that, I think people know who are involved. And, you know, I just want to say this to you, Bishop, and to everyone listening. I will stand up for any one of y'all because there is not one person mentioned in that famous article that was written, or not so famous article that was written. That
infamous.
Infamous. Okay, infamous, if that's the word. That didn't do something for me in my life. So I am so grateful. You have stood up for me when I was on the attack from the Latino community during the vote. And they had a piece of paper saying not to vote for certain Black elected officials, and you called that out publicly. Other than that, I wouldn't have known. Brother Johnny has done great work in my life, probably saved a lot of kids that would be in the street doing other things if it wasn't for him coaching and being a mentor. Because my son's father moved to Florida, and I didn't know what to do. I haven't raised a male child before, and Brother Johnny stepped in so many ways to help my son. And there's not a time that I haven't called Brother Johnny that he's ever said no. He's come to everything at City Hall that I've ever invited him to stand there with me. And Bishop, we have our behind the scenes conversation, and you do the same thing, whether it's advice. Everything doesn't have to be done in public. Everything doesn't have to be us shouting at each other. So I also want to apologize for my behavior because my reaction is my reaction, right? I didn't have to respond to what I responded to the way that I did. But I also want to talk about Charles Stokes because I know that that's the name that everybody's waiting for. And you know, he feels the way he feels for whatever reason, and people have their own feelings and experiences, and I can't say anything about that. But what I can say is that me and Charles did talk after that meeting, and I'll tell you, Charles has stood up for me too. He has stood up for me too. And there was this white male that was on the attack of me, and other people saw it, but only Charles Stokes came in and said something to this man, and to this day, this man has never said anything to me again in life. So I'm just appreciative of all of you working hard in the community. Like there's things that you guys did back in the day when I wasn't even involved at all, because I was a single mom raising my 2 children. That was my focus, going to school, working 2 jobs, doing what I had to do to protect and provide for my children. And you guys are in the trenches, getting the work done, still in the trenches, getting the work done. So I just want to say that I am so proud and blessed to know you and to know all of you and to see all the work that you're doing. And I want to echo what Ms. Taylor said. I think, and Ms. Brown, that if we come together and work together, we will be so much further along and we could do so much more together. I don't think that, like, you know, the public display of calling each other out, that's just not the way I do things. But I'm not telling anybody how to live their life or do anything. And I hate it in the moment after I stood up and said what I had to say. I did feel bad. But another thing I'm not going to let anybody do is bully me, right? And so I understand when
I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that.
Yes, and I'm not going to let anybody talk to me any kind of way. And even if it's not a diplomatic approach to what I'm doing, I'm going to say what I have to say. It might be in the moment, it might be later. And I'm not saying that this is what Charles was doing to me. He had his personal feelings, so he called out, but I have mine too. And everybody is not always going to agree on everything, but we have better ways and better solutions to handling things, right? And so I was wrong too, but in the moment we do things that sometimes we might regret a little bit later, right? And so I wish I would have handled the situation different, but I didn't. I'm not apologizing for anything I said because that was my truth. Brother Johnny's been there for me a lot. You've been there for me. Charles has been there for me. I mean, there's a lot of people that was called out. LeVar has been there for me. Me and LeVar have LeVar Click has a 30-year relationship. And, you know, there wasn't a time that the mayor there was a time when the mayor was not on my least favorite person list. There was a time that we actually had an okay relationship. And what caused that to change was the mayor, right? So for him ignoring me, not wanting to have these conversations, excluding me in certain things, not taking my phone calls. So the relationship between me and the mayor is personal, has nothing to do with anybody else. So I'm not asking anybody to sever their ties, but I am asking folks to tell the truth, to stand out on what is right and stand out on things that can be done. Millions and millions and millions of dollars go toward opioids, and we need, just give us 1 million to start, give us 2 million to start, so we can at least start getting the work done. That, because some of it do need funding, even when you start off. Like, for example, I wasn't in gun violence until 2014, so that's way after all of you been doing the work. I didn't get involved until 2014 when my friend Juanita Batchelor lost her son, and she asked me to help her get her nonprofit started more.
See, Counselor, my thing is this, is people always have to understand that their chapter is but one chapter in a continuing story of the Black experience, whether it's in Springfield, Massachusetts, or in the nation. And you can't ignore all of the chapters that came before you, and act like things started when you got out here. You know, I used to always say that, you know, when people would experience certain things in their family, when it affected their family, they'd come out with this passion and they'd say, "Where's everybody at? Where's the preachers? Where's the this? Where's the that?" And I'd say, "We've been here. Welcome. You know, where you been?" Because oftentimes, you know, people don't join the fight until it affects them in a personal way, and that's okay. My problem is when they start to castigate and malign others as if they're the only ones, and none of us are the only ones doing anything that we're doing. There are people who were doing it before us. There'll be people who will be doing it after us.
And the point to all of that, Bishop, is thank God that we're doing it. Thank God that we're doing something, because if none of us was doing anything, you're right, it would have been a whole lot worse. So I appreciate you when you bring up the issues, just like I appreciate anyone who bring up the issues. What I want us to do better as a people is to not belittle each other for what we think is not going on, because no one knows everything that's going on behind the scenes. No one really knows what a person is doing. And so instead of getting out there and saying what a person ain't doing, let's have the conversation to see what we are doing and how we can bring that together better.
Well, you know, and then we've got to be consistent, and we've got to be we can't be disingenuous. We can't have a double standard. Case in point, I heard it said that, you know, well, Tracy, if she had something to say about what I said, I should have been, you know, tapped on the shoulder behind the scenes. And so my thing is, wait a minute. So Tracy should have talked to you behind the scenes instead of speaking from the floor. Yet you can speak from the floor and malign me and Brother Johnny, but you ain't never tapped us on the shoulder and asked to talk to us behind the scenes. So you can't have one standard for how you feel like people ought to deal with you, but then you have another standard for how you deal with everybody else.
Well, I think everybody needs to look at that standard, right? So Charles isn't the only one that does that, right? We all can fall into that sometimes, and we just
but most of the time, when, let me just be honest, and y'all know I'm gonna be honest. When folks say something about Charles, in most of the cases, it's in response to his maligning of them and attacking of them first. Nobody is out here just randomly attacking Charles Stokes. Now, there are people who respond to his foolishness, but nobody is targeting him at all. And so most of us who have said something about him has been in response to slander and things that he has done to us. And I'm just going to be honest with you. That's what it is.
Well, that's your honesty. That's your truth. And I just hope that we could do better together in the future. I really hope that we can get past this point where we feel like we got to call each other out all the time and we could just move forward. I know your show is about to end, and
Yeah, I got to get out the air
I
and make
want to
room
thank
for
you for
the
having
next
me.
show.
But I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. And let's just work better together. Let's get the work done. Let's do what we got to do for our residents of the city of Springfield. And I do want you to maybe have a show on like the budget that's coming up, some of these tax issues and things that the city is going to be facing in the future. So I can really get more in depth on what I know. Those
Y'all
are
see,
my
y'all see how she just stepped into producer mode. All right.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Bishop.
you. Thanks for coming on.
All right.
I got to get out your way. Coming up next is Mid-Morning Jazz and great black music. It is always, always, always a pleasure to be with you all. Somebody's trying to call. Let me see if I need to take this. Good morning, caller.
Yes. Bishop, you know when people say things or try to align people, all you gotta do is refer the book of Romans to them in the Bible.
All right. Thank you for your call. Refer them to the Bible. All right. I'm good with that. I got to get out your way. Listen, if you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, the Brick Church right there at Six Corners. We're building better tomorrows by changing lives today. There'll be prayer, praise, and preaching. Come on out and check us out. I'll be back with you on Monday on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas. Please have a safe holiday. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, be careful out there, and just enjoy the moment, and always remember the reason that we celebrate this season. All right, I'm out of here. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember God loves you, and so do I. Peace and blessings.